Okay, Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, what a good day, isn't it? Today we are gonna do something quietly different. Today we are gonna host this weekend English talk.
Yeah, so let us introduce our full name. My name is Fadil Muhammad Ramadan. You guys can call me Fadil.
My name is Ahmad Raka Banwaji. So my friend usually call me Raka. So ladies and gentlemen, do you know what weekend English talk is?
Weekend English Talk is a program from IDN, right?
Yep, I will explain it detailed. Weekend English talk is a program that IDN sorry Weekend English talk is created by IDN to make the student can improve their English skill. They can be a host of an event and they can talk with a person that they never met before.
Oh yeah. So how is it, everyone? I hope you are doing great.
So, without wasting any more time, let's just call our speaker.
For Mr.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello,
Hello.
Mr. Nicholas. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Me too.
Yeah, we're good, sir. So, have you had a coffee? You know, coffee is good in the morning because it will make you fresh for weekend English talk, right?
Yes, I have.
Nice.
Okay, Mr. Nicholas, what is your full name?
Nicholas Jenkins.
Wow, great name, actually. So, how can we call you? Like, what should I call you? We call you.
You can call me Nick.
Okay, Mr. Nick.
Where did you come from?
I'm originally from the United States.
Wow, it's actually a beautiful city, like, I like that. Sir, how is in your place? Is it good?
Um, it was nice. It's a good place. Lots of places to go. Everything's very expensive there. Um,
Oh, so,
How
okay, sir, wait. Uh, can you repeat it, Padel? Repeat it. I think, just repeat it. What you say
how
before.
old are you?
oh, I am 41 years old.
Oh, so you are 41 years old, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
Oh, so, sir, uh, can you speak bahasa?
Mm, a very little bit.
Oh, so you usually speak English, like,
Yeah.
oh, uh, are you one of the teachers of IDN?
Yeah, I try.
Oh, what do you do in IDN?
Mostly practice English with students, other teachers, help out with different projects here and there.
Oh,
Can you tell us the story? How can you be one of the teacher of IDN?
I had some friends that I was working with, and they recommended a school that teaches programming in English and Islam. And being that I'm a programmer and I natively speak English, they thought I was a good fit, so they introduced me.
Oh, so you want to go, you want to proceed with IDEN because you like programming, like such of that.
Well, I think it has a good vision.
Oh,
What's the project that have you done?
I have worked on thousands of projects throughout my life, mostly infrastructure and programming.
oh my God.
Let me see here. I've worked on AIX systems. I've worked on IBM AS400 systems. I've worked on, I don't know, countless algorithms for different companies, different people all over the world.
Oh my God, you're an expert, I think.
I I try.
Yeah. So, like, what skill do you have? Like, I think you're an expert. So it means you have a lot of skill.
I can program in about 12 different computer programming languages, anywhere ranging
Ooh.
from C Sharp to JavaScript, Java, Kotlin, Python. Yeah, I don't know, most of them .NET. Um,
Ooh. So it means you're like a software developer.
um, yeah, for the most part, I do have some limited hardware experience with servers and let me
Why do
see
you
here,
want
limited networking.
Oh,
Why do you want to be a software engineer?
Originally, I didn't want to be a software engineer. Originally, I worked in hardware. However, I discovered I was using software to solve most of the hardware problems. So over time,
oh,
I transitioned over to programming. It seemed to be the way to fix everything as far as the IT world.
oh. So you mean like in the old days you are hardware engineer and now you're moving or both of that?
Yeah, I've been in IT for about 20 years and well, most of my life. And
Oh,
I would have to say I switched from hardware to software about 15 years ago.
oh. So you know what company that you already joined like in the old days until now, like
Well, I've
detail.
worked with lots of different companies. Seems to be the best way to get diversified experience. I've worked with IBM. I've worked with Google. I've worked with Connect You. I've worked with a lot of different various companies. I've started a few companies as well.
Oh,
How do
so
how do you
uh,
join Google?
Hmm?
How do you join Google?
Well, I ended up contracting for Google by I went to an event and I met a few people and they were working on a project and they requested if I join the project. So I joined the project and then I got placed somewhere else and that's pretty much how that works. A lot about networking.
oh, so wait, since you are a software engineer, sorry. So I might like to ask, can you do like networking thing?
I can do limited networking things on some systems. I have experience with some microtics, but for the most part, I can do a very, very small amount of Cisco things. I understand IPs, subnets, VPNs, routers, firewalls. However, going beyond that, not really anymore. I'd like to learn more though.
Oh, okay, so can you tell me a little bit different of network engineer and software engineer?
Well, a network engineer is responsible for infrastructure, setting up hardware, making sure things stay connected. Um,
Oh,
and that's mostly going on outside of the computers. It's helping connect the computers together. And it also helps filter out, send information from one place to another, helps protect the computers. If you're working in the security end of it, it helps create secure connections between networks and systems if you're working in the VPN end of it. And software engineering is you're working inside the computers. You're telling the computers what to do. You're giving the computers instructions in kind of the way that a teacher teaches students how to do certain things. A programmer teaches a computer to do certain things.
oh. So, okay, since you've talked so much about Google things. So, what's your experience and how does it feels like working at a big tech company?
Well, working for large companies is pretty similar in a lot of companies. There's a structure, there's a culture, um, and there's a lot of procedure and a lot of rules to follow. They encourage a lot of innovation, but they also encourage quality control. They care very much about the result and product and what it means, what can be done with it. Um, However, I would have to say that, um, I specialize in algorithms, and no matter where you work, when you're working with algorithms, it's not really an exciting day. Um, let's see here. Also, it allows you to travel a lot, allows you to meet very interesting people.
Oh, so you know, have you worked at a small company or start your own company like before you join a big tech company?
Well, I was taken from IBM when I was in university. I left university to go work with IBM, and that was through a contract. So, approximately 1 year through that contract, after that, I decided that I would take my experience and start my own company, um, and that did relatively well. Did okay. After a few years, I got an offer from somebody else and sold it. Made some money on that. And after that, I decided I was going to start changing more directions from hardware to software. So I worked with a smaller company for a while who was involved primarily in software. There's a company, Laptop City. And then that was maybe 3 or 4 years. And then I went on to restart my old company, shape that and grow that again. Um, And then I contracted for some mid-sized companies as well. But I kind of don't really think about what's the company I'm working for. I'm more interested in what project I'm working on. If a project to me sounds interesting and sounds new and exciting, uh, that's more of a reason to work on it. Just build something new.
Oh,
What is the most interesting experience while being a software developer?
One of my most interesting experiences is a long time ago. I made a contribution. I discovered a bug in Chromium, and I made a source code contribution to that library. That source code contribution ended up being accepted and merged, and after that, my source code was used in the project. And upon examining the propagation, I found out later that that code was being used by about 1.6 billion people.
Ooh, that's great, actually.
What is the app and the website that you already made?
I built logistics applications. I've built web applications, mostly for B2B. Some of them I can't say. I've worked on, when I was at Google, I worked on algorithms there. When I was at IBM, I worked on UI for AS400 systems for firmware. Let's see here. That's kind of the trouble with being a back-end programmer. Is most of the time people don't really see many of the things that you're working on. If you're working on data analytics, the systems that report information aren't really shown to the public. They're not really shown to everybody. And primarily that's what I do. I do enjoy doing UI UX. So I've always wanted to get into game development, but it's a very, very hard business to get into. Trying to think of some pretty common things.
So, sir, I heard that you say UI UX since UI UX is connected with apps, right?
UI UX is involved in everything that's around us on this world. Your phone has UI UX, your laptop has UI UX. But what a lot of people don't think about is a refrigerator or a car also has UI UX. And that's one of the things I enjoy thinking about and working with. I'm better at back-end development, and there's not enough back-end developers in the world. Most people are trying to be a UI UX developer, so I stay away from it. But that's the type of programming I enjoy. User interface is anything that a user interfaces with, anything that a user uses. And user experience is anything that a user has experience with. So a user that uses a car, they get inside, your steering wheel, your gas pedal, your brake pedal, your keys, your ignition are all user interface. The user experience would be how you feel driving the car, how you feel riding in the car, how do the speakers sound. So everything has UI UX, and to me that makes it very interesting. And I think too many UI UX developers today are not working with back-end developers. They should be doing more to think about how easy they can make the application. A lot of UI UX programmers are trying to make buttons look pretty, text boxes look pretty, controls look pretty, but what they're not doing is they're not trying to remove them. If there's no need to push a button in an app, then that button is something that can confuse the users. So it's not just about making things look good, but it's about making them easy to use. And I think that's kind of missing today.
Oh, so, sir, you know, uh, what is the app and the website that you already made?
I just told you I've worked on IBM Systems. A lot of my clients, I don't share my projects with. I really don't advertise those.
Oh,
Most of them are a lot of mid-sized companies. There's a hotel in Florida. Let me see here. I think they were Epson Resorts. There's Blue Systems. There's see here. I've worked on several search systems for. Let's see here. Laptop City. Worked on. Let me see here. I've worked on POS algorithms, point of sale systems for IBM. At Google, I did data analytics algorithms, and those are involved across Google Cloud App Engine back then. This is a long, long time ago.
oh. So, wait, sir. What I mean is, have you made like a website like that you made and that people can access the website or the app that you've made?
Well, like I said, most of the applications that I've worked on were business to business.
Oh,
They're much larger and they're not meant for public use. They're internal systems. So systems that I worked on, to give you an example, so nobody really uses, let's say, an IBM point of sale system, um, unless, like, let's say, Indomark ordered a IBM cash register. But you as users, you guys rarely ever will use the cash register or an ATM or something like that.
oh.
Moving to another topic, how do we work across the country?
I'm sorry?
He said is how do we work across the country? So it's a new topic.
Oh, I see. That's easier than most people think. You can, today is easier than ever. There's so many remote jobs available online. Websites like Glassdoor, Jobs TV, or they advertise, they list so many positions available. There's so many recruiting agencies out there looking to fill remote positions. And finding them is a matter of you apply, they accept you, or they decline you. But it's a matter of just applying for as many as you can. The ones that say yes, you go ahead and accept the best one if you find one that fits your needs. And then after you get that job, a lot of times it can involve travel, it can involve going to different places, but the experience is good. There's jobs available all over the world, and if you work hard and you qualify, you meet those requirements, and you do good, you practice. Getting one of those jobs is pretty guaranteed these days. There's so much work available. But one of the things to remember is that you've got to really be on the top of your game. You have you have to study hard, and you have to never stop learning. You have to kind of be on the edge of whatever your field is. If you're in networking, you need to be involved in the latest and best networking skills. If you're in programming, it's even harder. The best programming language today to use for, let's say, a website won't be the same best language 4 years from now. 4 years from now, it'll be a very different language, which means even if you've graduated university, 4 years later, you're going to have to know a whole new language they didn't teach in university. So that's why over time, programmer ends up knowing lots of languages. As far as working in different countries goes, it's interesting. There's a lot of people from other countries going to other countries right now. There's a lot of people in India going to China. There's a lot of Chinese going to the United States. There's a lot of Americans going to Europe, going to Germany, or going to England, or going to France. Even in Africa, Africa has growing markets in technology more than many other countries because their economy is picking up, the price of energy goes up. And so in Africa, their education system is behind. So they're hiring so many people from other countries to help the countries grow. So the amount of people changing countries has always been high. And the amount of jobs in different places has always been high. Getting them is not that hard. It's just a matter of taking the energy and doing it.
Okay. So I think since I've asked a lot of questions and final two for the viewers, is there anything you want to ask to Mr. Nick? Oh, so there's one. So, uh,
All right, Amanda? Hope I'm saying that right. The development of technology in Indonesia seems pretty left behind. I don't think it completely is left behind. But if you're young and you wanna stay ahead, it's just a matter of continuously learning. It's possible that in Indonesia, I think I was mentioning this before, that after people graduate, they get a job, and when they're working, they stop learning. So one of the key things is to continue learning even after you're already working on things, because things change so fast. Technology moves at a very fast pace, and it's not just Indonesia. So many countries, including the United States, are getting left behind. If you consider things like Facebook, Facebook is doing terribly. They're failing to update their UI UX for Facebook, so they're being forced to buy other companies. And it's not just a problem for one country. The problem you mentioned is a problem for all countries. But I would say for the youth in the youth in Indonesia, they should concentrate on performance-based programming and concentrate more on back-end programming. Back-end is neglected. A lot of people think that applications are the best applications because they have a pretty design or they're trendy. That's not true. What makes them trendy is they're powerful and easy to use. They do something meaningful. And the other thing that makes them trendy is they're fast. If you look at the user experience between Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you see that Facebook is the slowest. People began leaving Instagram. That is faster. They could get things quicker. And then after that, they started going to TikTok. That's even faster. If you think about the UI UX between TikTok and Instagram, while you can do the same things on both, TikTok has a higher performance. So people are using it because they get the information that they're looking for much faster. And so being an efficient programmer, not using libraries, not using other people's code, but really knowing the programming is a way to help get ahead. Also helping out your friends, helping out other programmers, supporting different people in your area, supporting groups. But yeah, like I said, that's not just a problem here. That's a problem everywhere.
Okay. So, is there any more question for the viewers? Hmm. I think no. So,
Okay, so many people talk about algorithm. What do you think uh, about it?
So many people talk about what?
repeat it.
So many people talk about algorithm.
Going where?
What? So, so many people talk about algorithm. What do you think about it?
Algorithms. Algorithms I like because, oh yeah, so many people don't like learning algorithms. I honestly don't like working on algorithms because what kept me away from them is that until they're finished, until you can see the results, they are no fun. They're not amazing. They're not interesting, and they're hard. Uh, but it's one of those things that requires a lot of patience. With a well-built algorithm, you can go ahead and see information that most other people can't think of. You can sort through large amounts of data. You can process big data and notice things and discover things. But until that algorithm is finished and they're so complex, it's aggravating. It's frustrating. An algorithm is like an engine. It processes things. You put gas in one side, but something different comes out the other. And building an engine is a complex thing. Um, and so this is really the future of programming is artificial intelligence, big data analysis. This is the major direction that everything is going. To give you an example, you might be able to use an algorithm about the movement of the ocean, to take all the data of all the tides and all the waves on Earth. And you might discover upon processing that information that it affects the rotation of the Earth, that it affects the moon, that it affects all these different things. And it affects, and then that affects fish movements, and that affects this. And then using that information, people can build something new. They can help change the world. A lot of people, they want to make video games and they want to make design. They do that because it's easy. And I don't say video games are easy. They do it because they make video games, and video games require intense algorithms. The good ones do. The bad video games, not really. However, a lot of people concentrate on design. They want to do 3D modeling. They want to do graphics. They want to do user controls because they think that's easy to do. But today, user interface and user experience is now becoming dynamically generated by algorithms. As the future moves on, those UI UX jobs won't exist anymore. Same with networking. In the future, AI will take over networking jobs as well. So who will be left in the programming world in about 15 years? I believe will be the algorithm programmers and the AI programmers. So it takes a lot of patience, but you can build things that are really amazing.
Okay. So, sir, You know, have you? Uh, I have two questions for you. So the first is, have you made a game like video games? And the second is, what's the engine to like you write the code down? Because you know, I'm actually a bit curious.
You know, honestly, I've tried to make a few video games and they were bad. They were so bad. It is such a difficult thing to do. I understand there's systems like Scratch that, in there, and I love that. I think that's brilliant. That's awesome. If you want to make something, you know, interactive and fun, it's very well put together for that. However, like I tried one time using the Unreal Engine and Unity to put together a small 3D game, and it made me want to cry. Uh, it's a very difficult process. Usually, good video games and good big applications are not made by one person. They are made by like a group of 150 people. And trying to accomplish something that big by yourself, I it's a hard thing to do. There's so many different things to learn. I've always wanted to, but it's a hard thing.
Oh, so
And your second question,
oh yeah.
how do I put code in there? Usually, I use a basic text editor. I try to avoid using things like Android Studio if I can. I try to avoid using Visual Studio Code when I can. I prefer to use something like Notepad, Gedit, Nano, or Vim. Um, those text editors I think are better because it keeps the code fresh in your mind. If you're using other people's code or if you're using auto predict, a lot of people forget. If you work for a large company and the software project you're working on is very, very big, if you're out to dinner with your family and your code has a problem, you need to be able to open your phone, fix and update that code while you're at the dinner table, out at a restaurant, or in a car. You need to be able to pull over the car and fix that code from your phone. You need to be able to fix anything from anywhere as soon as possible. And doing that requires you to not be dependent on any one particular way of getting code into a computer. If you need VS Code to be a programmer, if you need Android Studio to be a programmer, then you still have much learning to do. You should still be fighting hard. Uh, there's a lot of times I've wanted to make something and I've been out somewhere away from my phone's dead or I was away from my computer and I've written code down on a piece of paper with a pen. As a programmer, you should be able to do that with no errors. Uh, and yeah, you always get a typo or make little mistakes here and there. That happens. But good programmers, they should be able to program using anything.
Oh, so sir, what kind of skill has a huge demand in the tech companies these days?
What skill has a huge demand in tech these days? Mostly it would be, as far as a programming language, I would say JavaScript. As far as a network engineer, I would say, Cisco. Hardware engineers, IoT is becoming quite popular. Um, so I would say Raspberry Pi, Node MCU programming is growing. People making devices. Also fabrication, robotics, 3D printing is is becoming higher and higher in demand. There's so many. Also, I think the big one that's missing is medical software and medical hardware. A lot of people forget that like an advanced X-ray machine uses extremely complex software, and whoever's making that software, they get paid very good money. So there's also robots now that do surgery, and it's very specific towards the medicine industry. I'd say going along those skills of learning those things puts you high up in the list of demand. No, yeah, algorithms, AI, big data.
Uh, so can we move to the next question?
Sure.
Okay. So
What do we need to prepare to work overseas?
What do you need to prepare to work overseas? Um, you need a lot of patience and you need a lot of understanding. Different countries all over the world have different cultures and do things differently. The job you're doing is going to be the same. So obviously, one of the key indicators, one of the key factors to working in another country would be communicating. Uh, Getting, I would have to say, an intermediate knowledge of the language that you're going to be communicating in is good. And while English is a dominant global language available in the most amount of countries, um, that's one part of it. There's other parts of it that involve understanding quality of life, understanding you need to research where you're going to go. What are you going to do? Is there high crime? In your case, here there's is there halal food somewhere? If you're going to leave Indonesia and you're going to go anywhere in a different city, maybe there's like no halal food near there. There's all kinds of things to consider. Um, is the salary going to be good enough? Maybe a job offer pays a lot of money, pays a huge amount of money, and you think, oh, everything is going to be great. But in that country, everything's really expensive, and what you thought was a lot of money is not a lot of money. They have that problem right now in Dubai, in Qatar, in Kuwait, UAE in general. A lot of people want to take jobs there because they see a very high pay, but then living there, everything is extremely expensive. So your quality of life is not as good. Um, so there's many things that you need to prepare for. Um, you have to consider what would be a visa situation. Do you have a sponsor from a company? Most countries, you can go ahead and get one by just submitting for the job and then saying, hey, I need a sponsor, I qualify, and they'll do that. They'll handle it for you. Same thing goes with universities. Going to university overseas is very, very similar to getting a job overseas. So where do you think you'd like to go if you wanted to work anywhere in the world? Where would you go?
maybe for me, I think I want to go to like America because the environment is good when I look at the YouTube. And since I'm practicing English, I hope that I can go to America. I think
Well,
only that.
I think it'd be a great experience. That'd be an awesome thing to do. But I'd encourage you to, I hope you could travel the whole world, see it all, work everywhere, learn as much as possible.
Oh, so, uh, you know, it's kind of connected with the last question. So,
Okay. What I get is that it is better for us.
I'm sorry, the signal broke up.
repeat it.
What I get is that it is better for us to work remotely.
It's better for us to work than.
Uh, wait, repeat it for them.
What I get is that it is better for us to work remotely than to work overseas.
Um, I it depends on personal experience, and what you want to get. Working overseas, you're going to learn a lot more while you're working, but working remotely, gives you more freedom. I like working remotely, uh, and working overseas. It depends on the project. It depends on what you're working on too. Sometimes working remotely can be very difficult. If you're in an office with other people and you need another programmer, you need another engineer to keep doing your job. If you're in the office with them, you can walk down the hall and go get them. But if you're working remotely and they're in another country, it's very difficult. It can be pretty hard to do. So I think that's personal preference there. Um, I think that while you're still in the learning phase, while you're still working, but learning about the industry that you're working in, it's kind of better to be on site for that. So that way you can ask people more questions, you can get help faster, you can collaborate easier. I think once you're at a certain level, then working remotely, um, is probably better at that point, because then you have more freedom. You can silence things. You can concentrate, focus better. So that's sort of how I view that. Would you rather work remote, or would you rather uh, go overseas?
Honestly, I actually don't really think about it, but I think if I work overseas, I can look for a country that you know I like it and the skills that I have is match with the country. Like as an example, when I want to go to America, and in America there's sort of like uh, a company that want to hire me, so that I can go to America.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. So um, earlier, like we're talking kind about country, you know. So what country have you visited besides Indonesia?
I have visited Mexico, Honduras, Belize, Colombia, France, Morocco. No, Morocco's on my list of places I want to visit. All right. Let's see here. Ghana. Let's see here. Arab. All right. China, Malaysia, Singapore, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos. Um, Dubai, Qatar. I really want to visit Kuwait. I really want to see the stands. I think all in all total, I think I've visited about I think it's 68 countries, either 68 or 86. Uh,
Oh my God. Wow. You have traveled around the world. I think that's very incredible.
um,
So, wait,
I'm
you can
gonna
ask.
say that it's not as hard as people think it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. So, wait. What do I want? Oh, don't we need money? Because
Yeah.
when we by plane, we need money.
Right. Absolutely. But as I've traveled a lot, there's good deals. Even if you don't have much money, um, there's sometimes tickets go on sale. If you sign up to the major travel websites and stuff like that, sometimes you get email alerts for like plane tickets that it would be like $20, $30. Hotel stays that are like $5 a night. I think in rupiah that'd be like something like 70,000 a night, something like that. Um, there, there's actually really good deals, and you can do things like flying standby if you have the time, or you could just wait for a seat to become available on an airplane. Um, and also, getting from one side of the earth to the other is expensive, right? But
Yep.
once you're there, going to one place that's nearby and going to another place that's nearby and moving around, that's not that hard or expensive. So kind of like how Indonesia is close to Malaysia, it's close to Singapore, it's close to Thailand, close to the Philippines, and then that's close to China, it's close to Japan. So if you just go straight from Indonesia to China, it's far, but if you bounce around a lot on your way, it's not that bad, and you've seen many places.
Oh, so Fadel, any question? How
Also,
about?
working in IT, there's work everywhere. Uh,
Oh,
that would be another advantage of a remote job that a lot of people don't think about. With a remote job, unlike an overseas job, if you take a job in the United States, that's you work in the office, you will be in the United States in the office. There's also the ability to take a job in the United States that's remote. And then you can work anywhere in the world you would like to because you're still working remotely, but you could be in Japan. Then 3 weeks later, you can go to China. Then you can go to Argentina. You can go wherever you like. So,
hmm.
Okay. How about the administration fee for travel, like visa, passport, and etc.? I heard, I heard that it's hard to do with it.
this is probably one of the best reasons to learn English. Most countries in the world, their passports or visa applications, they have in their local language, and they also have it in English. And if you don't understand what the application says, and you make an error on one line or one part of their process, you could get rejected for a visa or something like that. So that's a big advantage to English is being able to fill out paperwork correctly. And some countries have a lot of paperwork. Some countries have no paperwork. It depends where you're going. I find that being very detailed and filling everything out, being prepared. So like if you want to go to the United States, you can go to the website, download every form that you need to fill out, and spend a lot of time preparing before you fill it out. And making sure you have the correct form also. Making sure that you have all the requirements. Your photo is the right size with the right color, and your this ID from here and that ID from there. Copies of this certificate from here. Just being prepared is most of the battle. And I think like doing interviews or something, that's pretty straightforward. I think most of the time, as long as you filled out all of your paperwork correctly, you're okay. So English is really important more than that. I mean, if you get a job in the United States and you need to work with employees, you can use Google Translate. You can use all kinds of things. But to fill out that job application or to fill out a visa application or to, all those things require pretty detailed knowledge of English. And if you have to fill it out while you're there, like on site, you don't want it to take forever sitting there translating everything back and forth. So administration is a global thing. But I find that as long as you fill everything out correctly, you don't have a problem. Fill out your forms right, answer your questions honestly, and you're okay.
Okay. Can you tell me the website that has a lot of travel deals?
A lot of travel tips?
Deals.
Oh, travel deals?
Yeah.
You see here, I think here's the problem. It depends where you're going. In the Western Hemisphere, you have things like Booking.com, things like Expedia. But over in Asia, over here, there's Traveloka, Ticket.com, and the problem is different places have different deals depending on where you're going or what you're doing. It's really, really weird. So like if you have, let's say, a flight from Indonesia to, I don't know, Guam or Indonesia to Nepal, finding that ticket might actually be the best deal, might be on a Japanese website on a particular day. And then on a different day, it's a better deal on somebody else's website. I found the best way to find deals is on a lot of travel websites, you can subscribe for alerts. So you could, let's say you really want to go to Japan, you can put up an alert for prices on tickets to Japan, and they'll email you when they have a ticket that is that price.
Oh,
Okay. What is the most interesting country in your opinion, and why?
That is such a hard question. So many countries are interesting is a great question. I find countries interesting that solved problems in interesting ways. So that's a tough one. Indonesia is definitely an interesting country. And gotta love Indonesia. But let's see here. Interesting countries. Visiting. Thailand was very interesting. China was also extremely interesting. because it's very different, not just in writing, but the culture is different. The people are different. I found Singapore interesting because the culture of people is the people in Singapore are very robotic sometimes. Like they're very emotionless and very like they're very in their own world, and it's interesting to watch. Um, Whereas in Thailand, work culture is very different. Working in Thailand um, is it, everything is handled very differently. How people react, how people speak, what people talk about, what's important to people. How do people judge people? How do people do those things? I would have to say Thailand. Sorry for that long answer, but I think Thailand is a very interesting place. It's a very difficult place. I lived there for a year. I don't want to live there again, uh, because it is a challenge. The culture is different. The food is different. So the people are different. Everything is different there. You might think Indonesia is very different than the United States, but it's really not different than the United States. The language is different, but a lot of people speak English here. Culture is very similar.
Oh, so hmm, uh, you know, since we've already asked a lot of things about your experience, and why not you uh, ask anything about us? No,
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
like
So what do you want to do as far as IT in the future? Do you want to go into RPL, like programming? Do you want to go into TKJ? What do you want to do in IT? What's your goal?
honestly, for me, for either software develop engineer and network engineer. Actually, I'm still thinking about it because my friends say that software engineer, uh, the start is hard, but if we are already expert in it, it's gonna be easy. And he say that for the network engineer, that is actually a bit hard, but we can get a lot of money. Is that actually true or no?
Um, from what I've noticed in Indonesia, if you're going to stay here, I've noticed network engineers get paid higher. However, good software engineers get paid much higher than the highest network engineers. So if you can get good at software and money is what you're concerned about, if you work super hard, you'll get paid much more than a network engineer would. But yeah, most software engineers in general today, I mean, right now in India, they've got 1 million new software engineers every year.
Well,
I mean, so obviously you have to be better than them to get a better job. And the reality is most of them are not that great. So if you're not that great either, as far as network engineering goes, I think it's a little easier to learn, and the starting pay is higher. But I think after 20 years, 30 years of doing so, um, software engineering pays. If you get really good, it pays much better. Um, but you have to work really. You have to work much harder. That's for sure. Um, it's not an easy thing to do, but the rewards are good.
oh,
I recommend learn as much as you can. I know other programmers who can do both. And that makes them better programmers. If you learn network engineering and then become a programmer, that makes you a better programmer. If you're a programmer and then switch to network engineering, you'll become a better network engineer because you understand what the software is trying to do. Uh, so learn as much as you can. It's really helpful.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
if you spend your free time, so let's say you're in RPL, you're programming, and you're learning network engineering. If you spend your free time playing video games, doing that stuff, but what if you spend your free time learning the other side? So what if you're in programming RPL, but on your free time you're learning TKJ things, or the other way around? Then when you graduate, you're going to get the job before everybody else does because you're going to know much more than everybody else does, and you get paid more. So
Okay. So I think that's enough, right?
sure.
Okay. So we have already reached an hour of talking. It's great to talk with you, sir. What a great experience you got. Do you have any closing statement?
No, I just want to thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to both of you. Um, I've enjoyed it. The both of you have asked really great questions. Your English is great. Keep learning. Your knowledge of technology is great. Keep learning. And thank you guys so much for having me on today.
Okay. So for the conclusion, no, like right, Fadel, that we already asked a bunch of things with Mr. Nick, like such as like about the software develop, the software engineer, and then like the UI UX thing, and then like algorithms, uh, you know, and how to work remotely and overseas. Actually, there's more about it. So I think to all of you guys, before this, I think I was just gonna thank you for joining us. So see you later. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh, hello. Uh, so, Mr. Nick, actually, I forgot. From our principal, Mr. Abel. Do you know him?